Hello and welcome to Hekate Astrology. After creating an account and logging in, you'll be greeted with the main dashboard of the application. The interface is organized into three primary sections for intuitive navigation. The toolbar area contains all your essential tools and navigation options. The wheel area displays the planets, asteroids, or astrological points that you have added to the screen. The interpretation area, where you can request and read the interpretation generated for the current astrological point or wheel. Throughout the interface, you'll notice small orange icons next to important elements. These are help triggers. Click any of them to display helpful information specific to that particular feature or section of the interface. To add an item to the screen, tap on the orange plus icon to open the items menu. In this new panel, you will notice that several orange information icons are also present. Do not hesitate to click on these icons to display information relevant to each section. To add an item to the wheel, click on it to toggle it on. For this demonstration, let's add the sun first. Note that small grayed out R icons appear at the end of most lines. These icons allow you to set the state of that particular celestial body to retrograde, which will be incorporated into the interpretation later. As an example, let us add Jupiter in retrograde motion by clicking on Jupiter and setting its state to retrograde. Now you may close the panel by clicking on the close button. The two celestial bodies have now been added to the wheel. Also notice that on the right-hand side, we have an updated list of interpretation buttons available. Now that we have added two planets to the wheel, we may wish to position them in specific signs or houses. For example, let us click on the Sun and drag it to the sign of Scorpio. You will notice that as you drag the Sun, aspects with Jupiter are automatically drawn, and the list on the right-hand side is simultaneously updated in real time, allowing you to request interpretations related to that configuration at any moment. Planets can be individually repositioned, but the wheel itself can also be rotated to experiment with new configurations. After releasing the wheel, you will observe that the interpretation buttons on the right-hand side have been updated accordingly. It may sometimes be useful to lock the astrological points on the wheel to facilitate selecting them individually without inadvertently moving them. To accomplish this, click on the white lock icon. It will turn orange to indicate that all astrological points are now locked in place. Click on the icon again to unlock the items on the wheel. In certain scenarios, you might wish to rotate the wheel while simultaneously rotating all the astrological items. To achieve this, click on the icon to the right of the lock. It will turn orange, and you will then be able to rotate the wheel with all astrological points moving in unison. Click on it again to return to the default wheel state. To request an interpretation for a specific configuration, click on one of the buttons in the list on the right-hand side. For example, with Jupiter selected, let us scroll down the interpretation list and click on the button representing Jupiter retrograde in Cancer in quincunx with the Sun in Aquarius. In this new panel, note that there is a drop-down menu at the top where you can select the consciousness level to which you want the interpretation to be applied. For this demonstration, let us select the individual level. After setting the consciousness level, click on the Get button. This is where the analysis will be generated, and if all parameters are correctly set, the interpretation should begin streaming almost immediately. Once the interpretation has been received, several actions become available to you. If you desire a new interpretation for that configuration, you may press the Refresh button, and a new interpretation will be generated in the panel. The first interpretation for a particular configuration is automatically saved. However, since we have refreshed the interpretation, we now have the option to save it manually. To do so, press the Save button. All saved interpretations for a particular configuration can be accessed from the History panel. They can be viewed in their entirety by clicking on the blue eye icon. They can be deleted, and you can designate which one will serve as the default interpretation for that specific astrological pattern by clicking on the yellow star. Now we can close the interpretation panel to go back to the interpretations list. Note that in the interpretation panel, alongside the core meaning of the interpretation, there is a series of short paragraphs or bullet point statements with orange headers. These blocks can be customized from the settings panel to accurately reflect the type of interpretation and inspirational perspective you seek. To modify the default blocks, access the settings panel by clicking on the cog icon in the toolbar. From the interpretation sections, you may select up to 5 customized blocks for your interpretation. To preview the content and purpose of these blocks, click on their respective information icons. Let us proceed by deselecting the currently activated components and selecting 5 new ones. For this demonstration, we will select Slice of Life, Evolutionary Purpose, Energy Allies, Comfort Zones, and Challenging Scenarios. Now let us close the Settings panel, return to the aspect we were examining previously, and click on the Refresh button. The interpretation will begin streaming, and upon completion, you will observe that we have generated a new set of text blocks for the interpretation. This demonstrates how to customize your interpretative components according to your preferences. By activating the transit progression mode in the items panel, you can generate interpretations for various configurations, such as transit to natal, transit to progression, and progression to natal. The procedure simply requires selecting an astrological point and designating its state as transiting or progressed. Astrological points that are added to the wheel without a specified state will be automatically classified as natal. For instance, if you wish to examine an interpretation of a transit of Neptune on your progressed moon, activate Neptune and designate its state as transiting by clicking on the T icon. Note that the icon will turn blue. Then activate the moon and designate its state as progressed by clicking on the gray P icon. Observe that the progressed icon turns green. You may now close the items panel, and the selected celestial bodies will be added to the wheel. You can then reposition them as demonstrated previously and generate an interpretation once you are satisfied with the configuration. To interpret synastry aspects, select the synastry mode in the astrological points panel. For example, if you wish to interpret a square between the natal Venus of one individual and the Venus of their partner, first activate the synastry mode in the panel. Then activate Venus and observe the small plus icon that appears at the beginning of the line. This plus icon allows you to add another instance of Venus to the wheel. Click on it and activate the second Venus. Having established the configuration necessary to generate a synastry interpretation, you may close the astrological points panel, reposition one of the Venus points on the wheel until it forms a square aspect with the other Venus, and subsequently generate an interpretation for this specific configuration. The interpretation engine will now process this configuration as a synastry relationship. To interpret solar arc directions, the fundamental concept remains consistent. In the astrological points panel, select the ARC direction mode. Observe that the letter A appears adjacent to all items. Activate the celestial body or point that you wish to add to the wheel and designate it as arc directed by clicking on the letter A on that corresponding line. Note that the A icon transitions to yellow. Activate a second point that will be treated as a natal position. Finally, close the astrological points panel and adjust the positioning of the planets according to your requirements. The interpretation you will request will then be processed as a solar arc direction. Note that your current operational mode is always displayed in the top left corner of the interface. If no mode is indicated in that area, then you are in natal mode, which serves as the default mode. In the top right corner of the wheel area, there is a copy icon. If you wish to copy an interpretation and save it to the clipboard, click on this icon. You may then paste the interpretation text at your desired location. In the bottom right area of the wheel interface, you will find the Zen icon. Clicking on it will remove the main user interface elements from the screen, allowing you to enter Zen mode. Please be aware that celestial bodies must be added to the wheel prior to entering Zen mode. Additionally, you will need to exit Zen mode to remove items from the wheel. Interpretations requested while in Zen mode will intelligently reflect the current consciousness level and the specific configurations surrounding the selected astrological points. This concludes our tutorial on utilizing Hekate Astrology. Please do not hesitate to contact us should you have any questions or require further clarification. Thank you for watching our tutorial. We hope you will enjoy using Hekate Astrology as an inspirational tool to enhance your astrological journey.